Greetings and thank you for joining me and taking a look at this special edition Pelikan M800, which is the green Demonstrator. This was released earlier this year as, I guess, a follow-up to the previous M800, the green Demonstrator, that was released around the year 1992. It comes in the usual Pelikan box of recent years. When I purchased this pen, I requested that it come with a medium nib, so the seller graciously switched the nib with a medium one. Usual paperwork, Pelikan Suran. Pen sleeve and usual plasticky, leather-looking pen sleeve. Putting the box aside takes us to the pen itself. Aside from the green Demonstrator material, the pen feels and looks like a usual Pelikan M800. The Demonstrator finish at the cap looks pretty nice. It's easy to see the nib. I don't know if it aligns in any particular way whenever you put it. It does not. So it's multi-threaded. Depending on where it starts, the nib will end up in different positions. The cap ring has this little accent in the middle. I guess in the older version, these were two separate rings. Now it still looks like two rings, but it's separated by a brushed little piece. It says the same Germany, Pelikan Suran. The grip section is similar to the other Pelikan Demonstrators that we've seen in the previous years. Piston seems to operate pretty smoothly. As is customary for Pelikan M800 pens, this can be uncapped less than one full turn. Maybe if you take from 12 o'clock, uncap at around 11. So 11 hours of rotation. We'll quickly compare this to a couple of other Pelikan M800s. Here we have the Suran M800, which is exactly the same size. This one comes in a fine nib. Next, we can compare this to the Pelikan Toledo M900, which is a similar sized pen to M800. Also looks identical in size. The Pelikan M815 metal stripes. Of course, the coating here is some kind of rhodium coating. It's not yellow. And just for perspective, we can compare it to the big brother, M1005, which dwarfs it a little bit, especially in the nibs department. The difference between the M800 and M1000 nibs are very dramatic, actually. Take a quicker look. The M1005 is an extra fine. The M800 is a medium-sized nib. They're both 18 karat gold. The nibs are, of course, identical in design, and they're interchangeable with other M800s. And just for completion, the caps are interchangeable between all the M800 models that I have. So it's time to think about an ink to put in this pen. It is a green Demonstrator. What better than a green ink? I do have a Pelikan Edelstein green ink. That's not my favorite ink, so we're going to go with Montblanc homage to Brothers Grimm. This is dark green, not very vibrant, and I am a big fan of it. So we're going to put this in the pen. Before I do that, I want to show one thing that I mentioned earlier, and that's how I'm not a big fan of the Pelikan Demonstrator grip sections. Just going to quickly uncap that. The Demonstrator Pelikans have this little sleeve that's built in the grip section that is also transparent. Unfortunately, that sleeve has a gap between itself and the body that ink somehow makes its way through, and it makes it essentially impossible to clean. And I've had a very, very tough time cleaning the ink off of the grip section on my M800 Demonstrator. I've used every technique proposed on the internet, which includes taking the nib out and squirting water or pen flush at different angles. I'm left with this white residue in the grip section that is basically there. It's permanent residue there. It's just going to stay there and not move. I've tried pen flush, resting it in pen flush overnight, tried washing it with soap and water, tried diluted bleach, and also tried isopropyl alcohol. Big mistake. That's how I ended up with that white residue. That is not going away. So none of those really cleaned the ink out, and isopropyl alcohol left that white nasty residue. Luckily, I figured this out before I tried to clean my M1000 Demonstrator with the same technique. The M1000 Demonstrator has the same similar grip section. The ink gets around this little sleeve in a similar fashion, and it's essentially impossible to clean with conventional techniques. This I was able to clean off one time with pen flush, resting in there and then ultrasounding it for like 20 to 30 minutes, and then squirting it with water and repeat that as many times as I needed to clean it. I eventually gave up and thought I'd try putting a red ink in here and see if the red ink would negate the blue ink I had in before, and I'll see if it will clean after. But I'm super disappointed with how Pelikan has not figured out how to fix this grip section so it's not nasty looking. Even Moonman C4 doesn't look as ugly. The grip section here is black under the Demonstrator finish. It gives it a cleaner look. They could have made it, a little smoked color, like Pilot 823, for example. Pilot does a great job. They just changed the grip section entirely to a smoke or black color, and then they made the piston knob to match it. Maybe it doesn't look as elegant, but at least that ugly sight is not there to bother you every time you look at it. That's my take, and it may not bother other people as much, but for me, being a somewhat limited edition pen because they're really hard to find, Pelikan could have done a lot better job. And since 1992, this was like 30 years. After 30 years, I feel like they could have figured out a better way to design this so that it doesn't look as ugly after it's inked once. With the green, it's probably not as bad, but with the clear Demonstrator, it basically holds on to any ink that you put it the first time. Let's ink this up with my favorite dark green ink from Mont Blanc, which is homage to Brothers Grimm. So from through the window, the ink looks pretty much black. You can't tell it is green, but we'll see how it performs on the paper. We can see that the ink already made its way through the grip section. I have no problem with that. Just the fact that it's impossible to clean that bothers me. Okay, let's do a writing sample. This is not a particularly wet ink, but this nib also doesn't seem like it is the juiciest pens in the Pelikan flock. And from my experience, depending on what ink you put in here, you can get quite juicy lines. But this pen, this specific nib and ink combination is just barely wet enough. Not super wet. Line variation. And just give you a little bit extra ink, but no particular line variation to speak of. And M800s are known for not really having much of a line variation anyways. They're known for that. They're a little stiff compared to the 1000, which is very bouncy and flexible, but not a flex pen. So I don't recommend flexing either one of these actually. So what are my thoughts on this green Pelikan Demonstrator? This is sold in the market as a special edition pen, essentially a follow-up to the original green M800 Demonstrator. It is listed anywhere from $500 to $800, depending on where you look at, give and take, which is in line with the US market price for the usual M800 pens. This is a little bit more expensive for it being essentially another M800, but being in a green Demonstrator. I personally do not think that it is worth the premium that you pay to get this pen, especially seeing that after uncapping this for just a few times, I can see that the threads make a mark on the barrel, so it doesn't seem like it's super durable. The cap, comparing this cap to the rest of the Pelikan M800s that I have, feels very similar. This ring, I don't know, it looks like it's glued on there pretty good, but I don't know if over time it would come off or not. But I'd be interested to see if this would crack. The piston is similar. The pen is overall similar to the other M800s. It writes very nicely. It's very smooth to write with. Probably the smoother of the several Pelikan M800s that I have. I am a big fan of fine and extra fine nibs on M800. Even the extra fine is not that fine. It's probably medium or broad Japanese. But this is a medium, which is probably in line with the Pilot 823 broad nib. If I were to demonstrate that, $823 broad. The 823 has Irashizuku Konpeki in it, so it's a lot more juicy, the ink. Whereas the M800 has the drier ink, and you can see that they're about the same line width in real life. So I like the Demonstrator look. I personally prefer the clear Demonstrator over the green Demonstrator, but I understand why the green Demonstrator has quite a following. It reminds us of the original M800 Demonstrator that was released in 1992. Beyond that sentimental value, I don't see any visual appeal to this pen. I don't feel like it is special enough to justify the price hike. But again, it's basically a blast from the past and a recall of the original M800 green Demonstrator. Would I recommend this? For day-to-day use, no, because it's very easy to get scuff marks here from the threads. And I'm not sure about the durability of this Demonstrator finish. What I do know is that the clear Demonstrator, I've had this for about a year. It has fared pretty well. It also has the thread marks here. They're less visible because this is clear and the green one kind of reflects the light in a way that's easier to see. I enjoy the M800 clear Demonstrator more than the usual M800s, but in terms of durability and aesthetics, I feel like the normal M800 keeps its looks and aesthetics probably for a lot longer. I've had this for longer than I have had my Demonstrator, and I don't see any scuff marks on it, even though I've used it just as much as the Demonstrator. Writing experience-wise, they're all identical, and I don't see really a difference in terms of weight distribution in these pens, one compared to another. Now, I'm not one of the people that puts these on the scale and determines how many exact grams they are. I hold it in hand, and I can tell from just holding these that they feel about identical. If I were to close my eyes and take these one by one, I would not be able to tell the difference. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. The only one of the M800 series, the only two of the M800 series that one would be able to tell the difference is the M900 Toledo, which is metal body, of course, and then the M815 with metal stripes. This is a little bit heavier than the usual M800, and so I might be able to pick this one up if I close my eyes and be able to tell that that is not the usual M800. So that's my take on M800 green Demonstrator and a quick comparison with the rest of M800 series that I have in my collection. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for checking out this video. If you like this, please follow for more. I look forward to any questions that you might have, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.